Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Sitecore Summer School. Sitecore Summer School will span a number of roles, not just IT and marketing, while addressing 12 subjects from context marketing to mobile experience, personalization, and the art of possible, and everything in between to ensure you have all you need to ace customer experience. With more than 80 sessions available live and on demand during July and August, Sitecore Summer School will enable you to rethink your digital marketing strategy and lead transformation and disruption in your organization. Sessions from digital marketing leaders like Forrester Research, Benson Bourne, and Avanade will give you the answers when you need to demand more from your current strategy. I'm Talia Bolamaki, and I head Marketing in the UK for Sitecore, and I'll be moderating today's webinar. Just to make you all aware, today's webinar is being recorded and will be available on sitecoresummerschool.com within the next 24 hours. Crystal will be taking questions for about 5 to 10 minutes at the end of this presentation, so please feel free to post any questions you have on the chat box on the left of your screen. And now I'd like to hand over to David Sullivan. He heads marketing at Codehouse, and he will talk a little bit about what Codehouse is and introduce our speaker for the day. Thank you. David, over to you.
Thanks very much, Talia. As Talia has mentioned, I'm actually the head of business development at Codehouse. Codehouse are a multiple award-winning Platinum Sitecore partner, and we've been working with Sitecore since 2005. One of the company that brought Sitecore into the UK. We've offices in London, Colombo, and Sydney, and have a large team of permanent development staff, including 2 Sitecore MVPs, both to cover the technology and digital strategy sides of Sitecore. As mentioned, one of the largest teams in the UK. We also have one of the largest customer bases in the UK as well. So everything that we do essentially is very much tied into Sitecore and a lot of the projects that we work on. We currently have 30 plus webs in CMS installations, and hundreds of sites, customer sites that are running on Sitecore. Collectively, internally, that's over 120 years of Sitecore experience in that permanent team. And from building Sitecore, we run through to multiple extensions when it comes to integration as well. Outside of that, we have a complete UX design creative team that complement any technical expertise that we have. So really, we're quite forefront with what we're doing with all of our customers and really work on that platinum status. I'm going to introduce Crystal, who certainly has extensive experience on Sitecore projects. Crystal is the product owner at Codehouse for Priority Pass and the project as we worked on with Conson Group. Crystal works very closely with business stakeholders at Priority Pass and also the development team here at Codehouse to ensure quality of the delivery that comes through.
Thank you, David. I guess over to me.
Over to you.
All right, thanks. Thank you, everyone, for joining the webinar today. I will be talking through a sort of a case study of what we've done for Priority Pass in the past, roughly about a year and a half from initially how we got together to talk about how we build a new website for them. At the end of it, like Talia has mentioned, you will have the opportunity to ask questions. So yeah, feel free to leave your comments on the chat room. All right, just briefly about who Priority Pass is. Priority Pass is the largest independent airport VIP lounge access program, serving millions of B2B and B2C customers worldwide. Codehouse, I'm not going to expand furthermore, because David just mentioned, we are a web development and digital design agency. About the project, so about roughly a year and a half ago, Priority Pass started to engage with us and talk about what they want to achieve from a business point of view to try to deliver the highest standard across different platforms with multilingual digital experience to its members and clients. So you can, here is a kind of a screenshot of what the old site looks like. So as you can see, design-wise and layout-wise, they all look pretty dated. So from the business point of view, it is really critical for them to try to improve the image, the online presence of Priority Pass, because nowadays competition is really fierce in the market. So it's really critical for them to start thinking something bigger rather than sticking to the old website. Some of the key challenges that we discussed with the client, of course, the dated design and very poor support for mobile devices. Essentially, the website doesn't really have any mobile support, so you'll be looking at the website in a scaled-down version on the mobile device, which of course is pretty bad experience, given that most of the users of Priority Pass website will be traveling most of the time because they are worldwide airport lounge provider. They also had, the marketing team had very high dependency on the development team for any sort of new campaigns that they need to set up. So the time to market for the marketing team to deliver their big ideas in the market is really poor. So it will probably take them months and months to get something up and running on the old website. So that's definitely an area that we need to look at and improve. The third one would be for the customer of Priority Pass. When they go into the website, it doesn't really provide them with any sort of self-service features. So they will be calling into the call center trying to get help of resetting passwords, resetting certain, billing address, or all sorts of user profile type of things. So there was a pretty high volume that going into the call center for pretty basic stuff for the customers. That's definitely another area to improve with the new site. Again, for the marketing team, in terms of content management, for Priority Pass, they have a website and also an app. At the time, there wasn't any integration between the website and the app. So in terms of content loading, management of it, the content team will need to do it twice, basically. Once for the website, once for the app. So it then, again, duplicating these efforts. Without these, time can be spent elsewhere. So a very brief slide for the new website. Obviously, from a design point of view, it's got much richer imagery. As you can see, it's quite it's catering for nowadays the larger screens with attractive imagery, and the site is now built fully responsive. So across different devices, customers will be receiving a much better experience, especially when they're traveling. Around the benefits, for the customers, the site is now available in 12 language versions, fully responsive. From probably the most important feature on the site, the Lounge Finder, it's got a much better, a more intuitive design towards it. So as a customer, you can just type in the airport or the city that you're looking for to find a lounge, rather than previously a 3-step process where you have to define everything: country, city, airport. Pretty lengthy process to try and get to the lounge page. So much more intuitive on that side. They also get a self-service area where customers can just log into their account, see their visit history, provide some feedback for the lounges, and potentially subscribe to the flight alerts, getting alert messages to advise the customer when flights get delayed or gates get changed. Because sometimes, the lounges are really nice. You get to there, you enjoy a glass of wine. You may fall asleep after a really long journey. So it's just some sweet, nice feature that the customer can subscribe to get certain alerts so they don't miss their flight while enjoying the experience at the lounges. They also have personalized partner offers. So for individual customers, towards their benefit, they will be seeing different offer sets. So to enhance their travel experience, potentially something to do with car rental, potentially some discount on golf club access, etc., etc. It's just providing the customer with a lot more benefits than just lounges, because ultimately what Priority Pass wanted to present to their customer is that they have a much broader offer than just lounges. Another thing is the digital membership card. So from previously, how the operations team works, how a member gets access to lounges, is that they have to first of all enroll into the program. They will get a physical membership card posted to them by post. So there will be some time kind of a gap that you can't, as a customer, I can't really go to the lounge just after I enroll to the program. I have to receive my digital card. I have to receive my physical membership card. So this is probably not so preferable for a customer. So the big idea here is to have a digital membership card generated upon a customer enrollment, so that as soon as someone signs up for a program, they will get access to lounges. So it just eliminates the wait for the customer. Of course, from a process improvement perspective for the marketers, we have built them with a whole set of B2B, B2C, and PPC campaign pages that are very easy to configure in the CMS. So in that sense, it's more like we delivered a page where the marketers can go in and add in different modules and components onto the pages. So it will look differently page by page. This is essentially eliminate the wait having to depend on the development team to build the page for them. So time to market is definitely reduced. And in terms of customer experience, the site supports real-time personalization. So it depends on where the customer comes from, where they have previously been to. The site will deliver different content to them to drive their experience on the site. So it will be providing more relevant content on the fly towards what the user actually needs. There's also some pretty complex business logic that Priority Pass want to implement on the website, because as I mentioned earlier, they have millions of users. And for these users, they are from different sources. So some are from B2C channels, some are from B2B channel. From B2B channel, they have also subsets that potentially need to have different feature sets available, different list of offers available. So the site has been configured in a way that it will respond to all these information and deliver the relevant feature sets and content to the customer. There's also thinking behind how do we then integrate the website and the app in terms of content management, because from a branding perspective, what you don't want to do is to have a set of content on the website and very different tone of voice on the app. You want to keep that level of consistency across the board without having to spend too much effort at duplicating the effort of content entry. So what Sitecore is capable of doing is that we can abstract, we can surface the content of the website through an API to the app. So the app can then consume the content directly managed in the website. So you don't have to do it twice. And this will then, also the translated copies will also come through. So for the app, you also have the ability of toggling between 12 language versions. Right. So these are all nice and fancy from front-end point of view, like what customers can see, what marketers can see. From behind the scenes, we can see that what we are trying to do is to translate a complex business logic to some personalized content to the customer. How do we achieve that? The diagram here probably can give you some sort of idea how what is talking to what. So in Priority Pass, their back office, we have a lot of information that's very useful to help personalize the experience for the customers. So these information will include their name. So we can use that information on the website to provide some personal touch when they log into the website. So and all the password reset emails, or all the touch point that Priority Pass has with their customers online, they can add a subtle personal touch to that. So instead of saying dear customer, you can be saying dear David, dear Jason, etc. We also have information such as their country of residence. So we know that, okay, for certain areas of, for certain regions of the world, it's probably not so good to show certain imageries. So we could be using this type of information to personalize what type of imagery that we want to show, or certain content, wording, etc., etc. So it's really powerful to be able to access the back office data and do personalization. We also have things like the member's subscription level. So as a user, it's really handy that I can just log into the site and see what package I have with my subscription. I will have potentially 10 visits included in my membership. I will have information about how much it will cost for additional visits, additional guest visits, etc. So it just make it very easy for the customer to find out their subscription details. They will also have offer codes. So then the customer, when they log into the site, they will see, okay, as a customer of Priority Pass, I also get to enjoy spa access or golf club. It's just trying to expand experience for the end user so that they appreciate what they've signed up for in terms of Priority Pass benefits. So what we will do is that we'll be talking to the Priority Pass back office using an API, and that API will deliver back the information to us meaning Sitecore, and we have a rule engine configured in Sitecore to take all the information and process them and see whether certain conditions are met. If this condition is met, then do something. So whether it being allow the customer access to certain feature sets, or whether to allow them to see certain offers, allow them to change certain details, allow them to see different images. So all these configuration, all these personalization is happening on the fly. So in terms of the system maintenance, once you've set up, configured all the rules, unless the business logic has changed, it's kind of a self-maintenance process. So it's really easy to manage. I've touched on the point where the marketers from Priority Pass previously was having challenges of having to rely on the developers to create page on the website and make simple tweaks like content changes, etc. With the new website, we've fully considered the freedom for the marketers to be able to change content, create pages, etc., etc. So as a CMS system, nothing is really hard-coded. So you get to change the label, you get to change all the text copy on the site, all the imagery, and various other stuff. And from, because Priority Path has a B2C target market as well, on top of the B2B market, from their acquisition point of view, i.e. Generating lead for the website, getting more customers. The acquisition team needs to be able to create different sort of campaign pages to launch to different markets. So, and you know, when you do the design, it's probably pretty difficult for you to figure whether the button or whether the panel should be in blue or orange or black or, you know, various different colors. So, and it's perfect that in Sitecore you can configure the system to do A/B testing. So you can do set a page up with the orange button, and then later on set another page with the blue button. Then you can push those pages out to your customers and see, sorry, potential customer in this case, because it's a campaign page, and see whether the potential customer responds better to the orange button or the blue button. So this type of thing is, you know, you can achieve that without having to rely on developer. Of course, there will be developer work required in the beginning, but once the system is configured, the marketers can use their imagination and create more pages on the fly. So this is very powerful. And is not really rocket science in terms of how these can be configured, because one of the benefits or advantage of Sitecore is that it separates the presentation layer out from the application layer. So for someone who's a not so tech-savvy business user, you will still be able to understand or use the system because it's kind of similar to like your Word or folder structure in Windows. It's pretty straightforward. Once the fields are configured and you've had some basic level of training, you will be able to go to, for example, this one is an experience editor where you can just say, okay, on the page, I'd like to add new components. So what you do, as you can see, you can just press on that component button. Unfortunately, I only have the slide, so it's a screenshot of our development environment. So you can press on that component button, and then you will then see these little add to here buttons. It just gives you the opportunity to visualize where are you adding something into the page. So once you click on add to here, then you have a choice of various different components that you can select and drop onto the page. These can all be configured by yourself. Oh, jump ahead. So as you can see, from a campaign landing page configuration perspective, it's really simple. Create a page, add a couple components onto the page, set certain rules, and then there you go, a new page. And you can test it against different markets and see how the market responds to it. If they don't like it, then make certain tweaks, and then you will be able to enhance it over time and over time, again and again. In that way, you are trying to make sure that whatever you deliver online is meeting the expectations from your customers. All right, that's it for the case study. I hope this is helpful and provides you with kind of an initial peek into what Sitecore can do for you.
Thank you very much, Crystal. We have a few questions coming up. Let me get on with the first one. How does Sitecore 8.0 compare to previous versions of Sitecore? Wow, that's a big question.
Well, that is a big question, yes, exactly. There are a lot of new features being delivered as part of 8.1. We have on Priority Path recently upgraded to 2.1. I don't really have a full list in front of me, but one of the key features, probably from the marketing perspective, especially for someone who's managing a multilingual site, in the experience editor, you now have the ability to change the layout that you're modifying. So you can modify the shared layout, which is shared across all language versions, or you can manage specific language version layout. So essentially, if you're managing a international site with multiple language versions, to edit, what are the modules on the page, you can just do it once by editing the shared layout. So that's probably, on top of my head, the biggest attraction point for 8.1. There is an article which is very useful called the, I need to refresh my memory. It was basically a case of why you should consider upgrading to 8.1. I read that article. We explored it as a team and see what other features. That was one of the features that attracted us to explore further for 8.1, particularly for Priority Path. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. Another one, does Sitecore have anything that could help with storage of documentation like a wiki?
Store information like a wiki?
Yes. Yes.
Knowledge base. I would say it's definitely possible. It probably needs some development work. Depends on what type of feature that you will be looking at. It's definitely possible that you can develop some sort of blog articles, and depending on how you want your users to interact with each other, there might be some other things that needs to be developed as a customization.
Okay, thank you. Another one, how did you handle language? Did you use automated translations?
Yes, we currently use an adapter that works with Sitecore. So what that tool does is that it will send the Sitecore items to a translation service, and the translation service then handles the translation part. It will have a platform where it gets, the translated copies get reviewed by the marketing team. Once they are happy and approve the content, the translated copy then can be imported into Sitecore, into the item that's being sent for translation. So yes, there are definitely tools out there. On Priority Path, we are using this type of tool to help speed up the translation and manual content entry process.
Thank you. Next one, what do you see as the next step for further developing the website?
The next steps, we are exploring a lot more about personalization. So currently we are doing kind of user profile personalization. We're doing it based on the geo-IP location of the customer. We have just started looking into how do we look into device-based personalization. So on the go, people probably don't want to see a lot of long text with copies. They probably want something sharp and punchy, less scrolling, things like that. So we're exploring how we can tailor the experience for mobile users. We're also, from the offer perspective, because we can see some more cases for Priority Path to expand even further on the offer side of things. So that's another area that we're looking into at the moment. We are also looking into enhancing the site search. So again, providing user the ability to find the answers on their website. So things like auto-suggestions when you're doing the search, things like automatically correct your misspelling, providing ability to have idioms configured. So people searching for like chairs, or it's probably not great for why would you be searching for chairs, but chairs, stools, and something that means the same thing. So, yeah.
Thank you. One more. You mentioned A/B testing. How easy is it to create one page, copy it, and change one element for the test? Can marketers do this?
It's very easy. Any marketer can do it. It's a matter of, in the beginning, there will be some development work done so that the information architecture support this type of testing. Once it's all set up for marketers, it's a matter of logging into Sitecore, going to the marketing center, do this in the testing area. You can then define what module you want to use, the two variants of it, and then you can just start up the test. And also there's the ability for you to say automatically select the winner after the test.
Okay, thank you. One more question. What are the features of Sitecore that support SEO?
In regards to SEO, it's when we built the site, actually that's another thing I can probably talk a little bit more about. After we built the new site, SEO side of things has massively improved because we're allowing users to be able to put in meta description, canonical links, alternate links, etc. on the site. So ranking-wise, Priority Pass sites was having a big improvement on that area. In terms of what features Sitecore supports for SEO, it's probably not a out-of-box feature. So out-of-box, you will not receive anything from Sitecore, but at Codehouse, we have modules that we can install, and that's just allowing you to put in things like meta description, canonical links, and things like that.
Okay, thank you, Crystal. One more question. How big is the content entry team, and what did you think of the process for training marketers on the new CMS?
The content editing team at Priority Pass, I think at the time when we first created the content was probably around 3 to 5 people. It was because it's got quite a lot of campaign pages that needs to be set up, so it was quite, it's not difficult to do, it's just the amount of pages that we've got, it needs quite some hands-on. But in terms of training, I find it pretty simple, because people will be able to use content editor, or if they're not so tech-savvy, then use the page editor. I didn't find it too big a challenge at the time, so it's pretty straightforward for the business users.
Perfect. This was the last question we received. If we don't have any more questions coming, we'll be closing the session.
All right.
Yes, no more questions. Well, Crystal, thank you very much for your session today. It was really good. Thank you all that attended this webinar, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.